This is the second installment in the series that we did on family cycles with Anthony Garcia. So again, welcome to the show where we try to talk about all things psychological. And again, this is the second segment.
Exactly. Your safety. When we were born, our safety nets are our parents. You can't, if you're going to instill fear in your kid by trying to correct the behavior, here's one thing that you're going to get out of that. You're going to, because I am a product of that. I'm a product of being instilled fear into doing things for my dad. You don't trust the world around you. No one cares about you. You get all these self-fulfilling prophecies start happening too. Yet no one cares about you. You're all alone. You're worthless, on and on and on. You believe these things as an adult. And as soon as somebody hurts your feelings, you're just like, okay, they don't care. The relationship is over and I'm just done with it. That's how relationships are ending so fast now. We have no trust. We have no, we don't have these skills built into us. And unfortunately, you're gonna either sink or you're gonna swim. That's all there is to it.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because that going back to this role modeling thing that we're talking about in terms of perpetuating the cycles and everything, one of the things that I use with my couples when I work with them, I said, listen, my wife is Filipino. She was 36 years old when she came to this country. So language, culture, everything Filipino. I'm Danish American. I was born in Denmark. I came to this country when I was 4 years old. And so basically bicultural, Danish American. Okay. Who would think that a Danish American and a Filipino could have a good marriage? It's crazy. Doesn't make sense. You know why it works? It works because we had the same role models from our parents. Her father and mother, my father and mother, same role models. So they instilled in us the same kind of role models, same kind of family values, even though we were raised, 6,000 to 9,000 miles apart, if you want to go from Denmark to California or from California to the Philippines, okay? Thousands of miles apart, different cultures, different languages, but the marriage works because we had the same role models. You could marry somebody who lives down the street and have a terrible marriage because you could have two totally different role models in the house. It won't work. This is why I talk to people about we should have premarital counseling prior to any marriage, and we would end the divorce rate. Why? Because you need to take a look at how were you raised? What is your expectation of a wife or a husband? What is the expectation of yourself in that relationship? And I realize I'm focusing just on husband-wife here, but it's the same thing when it comes to parenting. And how many parents have we talked to where the husband and wife cannot get on the same page with parenting the children? Different role models. One's throwing their kid off the refrigerator and the other one's holding them and cuddling them.
And that right there is a concoction for confusion of your kid. Then your kid's going to go, well, dad yells and screams at me all the time. That's the only attention I get from him. So I might as well just do whatever it is I'm going to do, because either way I'm getting yelled at. That's literally how a kid's mind will not probably. I've heard this. I've heard children explain it to me that way. I've done that. To a degree. I'll share a funny story with you too about, do you remember back in the 90s, they used to have Columbia House records?
Hell
and
yeah.
you used to get, okay, well, they used to get, well, no, you get them in the mail and you get the little stickers and you pick your tapes, your cassette tapes or your CDs, and you pay a penny for each one of them. The way I grew up in, that crazy world. So I knew how to do things. So when we would get those, I would get the I think it was like $1 or something to mail off to get the CDs. Mm-hmm. And I would send out for the CDs under my dad's name and get them and put them into collections. And that's just how I was going to do what I was going to do, because no matter what, I was going to be yelled at. I knew it was a bad
Exactly.
thing, but I still did it. That's how I operated. I'm going to get attention from this guy somehow, because either way, I'm either going to get yelled at or I'm going to be sent away and told I'm no good. I don't want you. You can't come around. That's just how he operated. Devastating. Then you throw that at a kid, and the kid's confused because you got dad screaming. And then you have mom over. It's okay. Everything you do is fine. Everything's gonna be okay. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do as a kid? Am I doing wrong or am I doing right? Which is it? Then you grow up and it's like, how do you operate? What is wrong? What is right? So it's you're kind of just floundering out there in the world trying to figure out how to maneuver, how to do things. It was hard for me to maneuver the world as a young adult. I didn't know anything. I didn't know. We grew up poor. I would go up to I'd go to like McDonald's, and it was Shirley that had to kind of start making me realize you could pay extra money to get things that you wanted. Like French fries were a luxury to us. I didn't know. Like the longest time I go to McDonald's, I did get a hamburger. We have chips at home. Shirley thought that was bizarre. And I was like, why don't you just get fries? Well, it's extra money. I didn't know I was doing these things. I was just doing them because that's how I was raised. We don't get fries. That's just how it is. And it's the quirkiest things that you can come up with that you see that the role modeling has affected you. I'm still like doing things that I probably don't realize I'm doing that are probably Tony-like characteristics that I've gotten from him. But I mean, like I said, like you said at the beginning, they did their best. That is where I took the next step in the process. I had to actually sit there and say that to myself. I had to say, Tony has done his best. My mom has done her best. They both got screwed out of their families and their parenting. They did the same thing to me. I have forgiven them. I have moved on. And it's not the easiest thing to sit there and say, I forgive the person who has absolutely ruined my life, which is my dad. So much so that now I've moved on and I'm now able to say, I understand him. I'm okay with what he's done to me. I'm okay that we had to go through all of that. No kid should have to. Guess what? My kids aren't ever going to be running drugs. They will never meet their grandfather, unfortunately, but they will have a pretty kick-ass dad that is going to show them, because I have sharpened the hell out of these tools to give these kids. And that is where it comes in. The fruits of my labor, yes, I am proud of them. Yes, I will tell anybody and everybody that you can change. Why? Because I was that person that I'm telling this to that believed in themselves that they couldn't do it. That believed in themselves so much they said and made every actual excuse in the book not to do something, because it's this innate feeling of you're not good. You never will be. I worked at a dead-end job. I left that place scared to death. I was like, I'm not going to make this. I'm not going to become a therapist. I'm not going to become a working professional. I have people telling me all the time how proud they are of me, how much that I've shocked them of how much I've changed and how much they've seen me grow up. To me, I'm still this like whacked out kid who like enjoys kid things. That's why I say I think to a degree I'm going to be a really awesome dad. I'm not just saying that to toot my own horn. I look forward to this. I look forward to having children, to be able to do the things I didn't get to do, but not on that 180 scale like you said. It's no, we're going to go not polar shift, because polar shifting in life doesn't work. We're going to go and shift to the center, and we're going to give them the understanding, the support, because I don't want my kids to be scared. Yes, they are going to be scared, but they are also going to be able to come to dad and mom and say, hey, I'm scared. Guess what? I'm going to do what many people don't do in the family unit, because I will ask every single one of my clients that has had childhood trauma. I'll ask them these sets of questions. Was there anybody in the house, in the home, mom or dad, that explained to you what was going on in the home? during the chaotic times in your life? Was there anybody to comfort you? Was there anybody to make sure and really make sure that you understood, not just sat there and told you what was going on, but then sat there and followed up? Are you okay? This is what's going on. This is what's to be expected. Everything will be okay, little guy. No one gets that. So then they just go on and it's just like chaos. It's just chaos. Like I said, growing up, I wouldn't tell my mom the things I was doing with my dad because I automatically assumed she knew, because I just thought it was normal. Riding a bike, getting robbed at 3 a.m, getting robbed in his car. I thought these things were normal. I never will tell my kids about that. They don't need to know. The only thing they need to know is the happiness, the security, and the love that they have between their mom, me, and them. It's like a tripod. And that right there, I've changed the world.
Amen, Tony. I applaud you again, and I'm going to reinforce that with some of my own story, in that, you know, you talked about the confusion in the child and what's right and what's wrong. And, you know, I grew up, and I kiddingly say to my clients, but it's absolutely true, I've done things illegal, immoral, and unhealthy. Hell yeah. You know, I had quite a life. I look back on it now and I have no regrets because I learned from every bit of it. Okay. But, you know, I'm in my home office here, which is where I display the glory wall here behind me. That was because when I grew up, my father instilled in me this idea that I was worthless in some respects. You know, I couldn't do anything right. Well, I had to prove him wrong. So I went on a paper chase, as they call it. So there you go. That's what that stuff's all about. And that's why it's here in my home and not in my office where I see clients, because I don't need that. I finally realized I'm okay, you know, but it took me a long, long time. I even had 5 professional licenses in my lifetime, 5 different professional licenses. What for? To prove him wrong, to prove him that I was worthy. You know, so I hear you, Tony. It's a tough one to go. And at some point, I think I was probably, again, I don't think I hit it until I was in my mid 40s, early 50s, where I kind of went, oh, I don't need to do this anymore. I'm okay. But it took me a while. And I really want to reinforce what you said there about raising children, because that's really, I have a passion about parenting. And this is one of the reasons I'm so glad you brought this to our show here, because unconditional love. I love you no matter what. Okay. I remember my one son, I have 2 boys, 2 girls. Now my one son, he was about 18 years old. We were standing in the kitchen. He said something or other, and I don't remember what it was, but it prompted this from me. Eric, if you kill someone, I will not defend you, but I will walk that last mile with you, because that's the love of a parent. Okay. You can do wrong things. That doesn't mean I stop loving you. Okay. No, but I don't defend you. You know, you've got to own that stuff as an adult, but I will still love you. Unconditional love. That's a tough one for a lot of people to understand. You know, it's not about the behavior. It's about who that person is and loving them. And then, yeah, setting boundaries. This is okay. This is not okay. Consistent, reasonable boundaries. Okay. And then recognizing there's consequences for transgressions, and there are really positive consequences for doing the right things. You know, these are things we need to learn and instill in our kids so that they grow up and they don't have to go through the crap that you and I went through. And you went through far worse, good Lord. But, you know, so yeah, I am so happy you came on the show and you brought this up, because it's such an important, terribly important thing. We do not have to keep doing what our parents did to us. We can be different. We can instill, you know, a whole new way of being in our kids. We can do this. You know, let's go way back to what you were talking about in terms of this country and the way it's going to hell in a handbasket. Well, my words. And why? Well, it's because of the friggin' parenting. We're not learning. We're doing the same things. We keep repeating the same thing over and over and over from generation to generation to generation, instead of going, whoa, No, just because it was good enough for you doesn't mean it's good enough for your kid. Knock off the spanking. Doesn't do any good. Not good for the kid. Okay. But we've got to learn, and I want to see a course in school, high school, mandatory parenting, how to parent. Okay. At some point, we've got to break this cycle, which is where we started this whole thing, talking about cycles, family cycles.
That's I think our daily battle as therapists, because I think that's we are the forefront, I think, of trying to change and battle this, by doing all the psychoeducation, by doing what we're doing here. I mean, we have kind of taken our career choice and made it somewhat, it encompasses a lot of my life, at least. I started Spread Hope Like Fire 4 years ago in my garage because of such stigma around our field. Like, mental health is not talked about enough. I I make it a point that, like, that's literally why I use my Facebook to talk about mental health. I don't really like social media, but I will sit and I will talk and I will share. That's why I'm so open about what it is I went through. I think that if I am able to open up and talk and get one person to listen and feel and understand and kind of start connecting the dots and saying, I want to change like Tony did, because look at what Tony went through. Tony's saying it's okay. And I trust Tony. I've had one person actually come and tell me how much in my personal life, how much I have changed their life. I don't share this much, but I think it's something important to share now, that that's not why I do it. I didn't get the joy out of them telling me it was me that did it. I got the joy of seeing this friend of mine change their life. They are happy. They've gone through their own struggles. And when they were in their darkest hour, they talked to me as a friend, and I gave them the words, I guess, that helped them along. And now they're on their own journey of this mental health kind of adventure that we all go on. 3 years now, he's doing great. He's I swear, I love this guy. He's really one of my closest friends. He struggled with a lot of the stuff he went through. He struggled through his relationships. And now, the one person I gave this advice to of healing and mental health and getting help was, once your girlfriend left, you take that year off. I know we're going off into a little something different, but I told him that, to take the year off. He's the only one person that did. He took the year off, liked it, took 2 more years off. He is now thriving. When I was a trainee, I was sitting at my site and I texted him and I said, hey, we aren't at Target anymore. This is crazy. This is crazy, isn't it? Because he's an IT guy now. And he goes, yeah, we're adults now, huh? We have money. We can go do what we want. We're so proud of each other. I love that we shared that moment with each other. To top it off, he is in one of the most beautiful relationships ever. I adore his girlfriend. Not because she's in the field, because she's a therapist. I hit it off with her. She is taking her cycling. He is taking his cycling. And they're teaming up together.
Oh, wow.
She's allowing him to be who he is, but he's allowing her to guide him. Hey, share with me, open up with me, vice versa. And it's the greatest thing to see them two interact with each other, because it's a beautiful thing to see when two people put the foot out to make that first step and then they just start walking along. This is what you see from people. I love surrounding myself with positive people, people that want change, people that want to uplift one another. I think that has a lot to do with one's mental health. Who are you allowing in your circle? Are you allowing people that are going to be uplifting, or are you allowing people to just be there to collect space and then eventually tell you and bring you down? Those are the people I associated with to a degree, because I had no self-worth. I had no boundaries. Once you start doing the work, all these things just start kind of coming together. I mean, my first therapist, I remember, he would always tell me over and over again, you are in control, Tony. Get it together. Like, stop. You have the keys to the kingdom. So I went through therapy with him for about 4 years, and then bam, it just clicked. Yeah, I do have. It's not my dad's fault. Why am I blaming that idiot? It's not my mom's fault. Why am I blaming her? She changed everything around. She gave me the opportunity. I'm here to do everything. I terminated him, I think, that day when it clicked. I was just like, I'm done. I get it. It is time to move on. It is time to start putting these tools into play. Yes, I would need the pep talks and stuff. That's why I say therapy can be consistent. I've been in therapy for over 10 years. It hasn't been a whole shot of 10 years. But again, a therapist being in therapy. People get tripped out when I tell them that. It's us being human at the core and being able to say, I am human. It's a beautiful thing, and sometimes it sucks because it hurts. But at the core of it, that's what connects us all.
Exactly. That goes back to what I was saying earlier. And you had said it too. Our clients sometimes look at us like we're these perfect human beings, and it's like, no. That's why sometimes I have to sit there and say, no, I've done things illegal, immoral, and unhealthy. Okay, been there, done that. Okay, because I am human. Okay, and that's where we're going to make the connection. That's where we're going to develop that helping relationship. And this is where you are so good at it, Tony, because of what you've been through. It's a terrible thing to say in some respects, because all the things that you've been through are what help you to be a good therapist. Okay. But see, you're doing something other people don't do. And this is why therapy is out there. Therapy and therapists are out there, because there's so many people who are not paying attention to their life cycles, to their role models, to their inner struggles, and that they can do something about it. Yes, you've been in therapy. Yes, I've been in therapy. Good Lord. I don't know many therapists out there who have never been in therapy. All of us go to therapy at some point. Why? Because we recognize the inner struggle, and we need that other person to help to mirror and encourage and support us as we go through that struggle. Okay. And this is what we are trying to do with them, is help them through their struggles. But people are out there going, oh, I don't have any struggle. No, I'm fine. It's like, no, you really aren't. You really aren't fine. You may think you are, but you're not. And you're doing damage. And this goes back to the life cycle thing where we started, because the damage you're doing is to your children. And they're going to pass it on to their children. And we need to stop it. We need to say, enough is enough. We need to look at that struggle like you did within yourself and I did within myself. We look at that struggle and say, hey, no, this stops here with me. Not going to blame anybody. Yes, they were responsible for the genetics they gave me. Yes, they were responsible for raising me. But I'm an adult, and I need to take responsibility for me. Nobody else, me. But I can also set a good example for others and say, hey, if I can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. It's the not settling, not cashing out early. It's kind of like the stock, because I'm a trader. It's you don't want to buy a stock overpriced and sell it underpriced. Don't do that to yourself. Raise your value. Tell yourself that you are worth more, because you are. Stop believing the lies in which you were manifested in you. Exactly. Because here's the harsh reality of it. Like Oli just said, you're harming your children. When I deal with cases that involve physical domestic violence, where I'm making reports, where kids are getting pulled out, or, dad, whatever the situation, dad, mom getting taken away by whatever it is. Here's the one key thing that you need to take away, especially the men. This is where I hit home with men. If you have a daughter, if you're violent, and I don't mean physically, even if you are physical, hope to God you're not, but if you are, and you have a daughter, your daughter's going to grow up one day. Your daughter's going to come to you. She's going to have the crap knocked out of her by another man, her boyfriend. What are you going to do? This is the answer I get all the time. Go knock that guy's teeth in. Good. This is what happens after you do that. Your daughter's going to turn to you and say, why did you do that? You had no right to touch him, Dad. I love him. You are going to lose your daughter, and that man is still going to beat the crap out of her. That's your fault. You told her it was okay. You told her what a man, or you told her how a man is to treat her. Vice versa. You're going to have a son. You better be prepared for the cops to be coming for your son because he's laying hands on his girlfriend. You gave him the okay. You told him it was okay. Not verbally, by role modeling. So when any of those two situations come to mind, please remember I told you this. This is the result of you not wanting to change. And that is, imagine having your daughter bloody and beaten coming to you and you wanting to knock that guy's teeth in. You can't because you'll lose your daughter. That's the sad, harsh reality that we live in. And no one wants to see it, accept it. They just keep going, I don't know what's going on. Why is all this happening? I don't understand. There's two things going on here. One, you genuinely don't understand. Or two, you're just refusing and you're in denial, which is fine. That is our first defense mechanism with mental health. Denial. It's not happening to us. It doesn't exist. Unfortunately, you're living it. Yeah. That's the harsh reality. There are consequences to us making these types of decisions in life, and that's why I am wholeheartedly behind the movement, which I call Family Matters. I want the family to change. I want to have children growing up in safe, sustainable families, knowing that the house isn't going to move, the landlord's not coming in, police officers aren't going to be kicking doors in, and then a regular childhood. Mm-hmm. That's what I fight for. And that's, I think, what I advocate more so out of everything, out of mental health. That and destigmatizing this.
Well said, Tony. Thank you so much. And I think at that point, we'll call it a day and
okay.
For conclusion. And I thank you for this wonderful dialogue that I know I thoroughly enjoyed. I hope that our guests out there who tune in enjoyed as much as I did. Okay.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for coming on our show too. Okay. We'll have to do this again.
Again. All right.